Cheap land does not usually buy citizenship directly, but in a handful of countries, it can open the first legal door toward residency, naturalization, and eventually a second passport. Some routes are cheap but slow, some are fast but expensive, and one country on this list proves the most direct passport route is definitely not the cheapest. These are 5 countries where land or property can still open a passport route in 2026, with real costs, real timelines, and the biggest catch in each one. Starting with the country most people confuse with a beach holiday, the Dominican Republic. When most people think of the Dominican Republic, they picture resorts, beaches, and short Caribbean holidays. But outside the tourist zones, rural land can still be surprisingly affordable, especially away from the coast and major development corridors. In some inland areas, land can appear at prices that look almost impossible compared with the United States, Canada, or Western Europe. But the important part is not just the price of the land. It is what that land can help prove. Buying land in the Dominican Republic does not automatically hand over a passport. This is not a direct citizenship by investment program. What it can do is support a residency application by showing genuine ties to the country. Immigration authorities want to know that the applicant has a reason to stay, a financial base, and a real connection beyond simply filling out forms. The usual path is temporary residency, then permanent residency, then naturalization after meeting the qualifying period and presence expectations. For the right applicant, that can eventually lead to Dominican citizenship. The catch is that this route requires actual engagement with the country. This is not a paper passport strategy. Applicants should expect physical presence, legal fees, translated documents, background checks, and ongoing compliance. And cheap land has its own trap. The lowest-priced plots may have no road access, no utilities, unclear title, or expensive infrastructure problems. A cheap acre with disputed ownership is not a passport route. It is a headache. The Dominican Republic is attractive because it can be affordable, close to North America, and relatively accessible. But the land only helps if the legal structure is clean and the residency plan is real. If scouting rural property abroad, Saily eSIM is useful for landing with mobile data already active. The link is in the description. But if the Dominican Republic is affordable, the next country may be even cheaper and far easier on paper. Paraguay. Paraguay is one of the most overlooked countries in the second residency world. It is landlocked, quiet, inexpensive, and rarely marketed with the same glamour as Portugal, Panama, or the Caribbean. That is exactly why it gets interesting. Rural land in Paraguay can still be found at prices that would be unthinkable in most Western markets. In some areas, farmland and undeveloped plots trade at levels that make Paraguay one of the cheapest land markets in South America. But again, the land is not the citizenship program. Paraguay does not sell passports. What it offers is a relatively straightforward residency path, where property ownership can strengthen the file by showing roots, intent, and economic connection. After holding legal residency and maintaining a genuine connection to the country, applicants may become eligible to pursue naturalization. Paraguay is often discussed because the headline timeline can be around 3 years, but the important word is eligible. Citizenship still depends on the authorities, the documents, and whether the applicant can show a real link to the country. That is the part many online videos skip. Showing up once, opening a file, buying remote land, and disappearing is not a serious citizenship strategy. Paraguay wants evidence that the applicant is actually connected to Paraguay. The upside is the cost structure. Land can be cheap, living costs are low. The tax system is often attractive for internationally mobile people because Paraguay is known for its territorial approach to taxation. The catch is lifestyle. Asunción has modern amenities, but Paraguay is not a polished expat product. Infrastructure can be basic outside major areas. Healthcare, transport, bureaucracy, and language all require realistic expectations. Paraguay works best for someone who values affordability, patience, and a low-key lifestyle over instant passport power. Now the entire equation changes, because the next country is not about waiting years. It is about buying the passport route directly. Turkey. Turkey is the most direct route on this list, but it is not the cheapest. Unlike the Dominican Republic or Paraguay, Turkey has a formal citizenship by investment pathway tied to real estate. The key number is $400,000. Buy qualifying Turkish property at that level, hold it for the required period, and citizenship can often be processed within months rather than years. That is the major difference. Turkey is not mainly a residency to naturalization story. It is a direct property to passport route, provided the property, valuation, banking trail, and legal documentation all meet the rules. The Turkish passport is also strategically useful. It offers visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to many countries and has an additional attraction for some investors because Turkey has an E2 treaty with the United States. For certain people, that can create a pathway to building or operating a business in America. But this is where the opening loop pays off. The most direct passport route is not the cheapest one. Cheap rural Turkish land may exist, but it does not matter if the purchase does not meet the citizenship investment threshold. A $2,000 plot is not the strategy here. A properly valued qualifying real estate investment is. The catch is due diligence. Turkey has changed its thresholds before. Property valuations are checked. Funds must move through the banking system correctly. The seller, title, valuation report, and holding requirement all matter. Cutting corners can destroy the application, so Turkey is the speed play. It is for someone who wants certainty, a formal citizenship route, and a faster timeline, but is willing to commit hundreds of thousands of dollars to get there. For deeper monthly breakdowns on changing residency rules, passport routes, investment thresholds, and country-specific red flags, Horizon Insider is linked below. But if Turkey's price tag is too high, the next country brings the land cost way down, at the price of time. Egypt. Egypt is not a country that usually appears in second passport conversations, which is exactly why it belongs here. It is not the cleanest route. It is the extreme patience route. Foreigners can purchase certain types of property in Egypt, and property ownership can support residency. Land and real estate outside Cairo, the North Coast, and major tourist areas can be far cheaper than in more established expat markets. But Egypt is a long play. It is not quick, simple, or automatic. Residency linked to property ownership can create a legal foothold, and long-term residence can eventually open the possibility of naturalization. But the timeline is long, the process is discretionary, and bureaucracy can be heavy. That makes Egypt very different from Turkey. Turkey is expensive but direct. Egypt is cheaper at entry but far less certain. The reason someone would consider it is not passport strength alone. It is the combination of low property costs, regional access, a huge domestic market, and a strategic location between Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. For someone who genuinely wants to live in Egypt, build local ties, learn the system, and think over a decade rather than a year, it can make sense. For someone who wants a clean shortcut to a strong passport, it probably does not. The catch is legal complexity. Property title, developer reputation, residency rules, language barriers, and administrative delays all require serious local support. Egypt is not a place to buy land casually, because an online listing looks cheap. If Turkey buys speed, Egypt buys optionality. But it only works for someone patient enough to treat it as a long-term life decision. And now comes the fifth country, where land is not cheap in the wild frontier sense, but property can support one of the more stable long-term passport routes in South America. Uruguay. Uruguay is the grown-up option on this list. It is safer, more stable, and more expensive than Paraguay, but it also offers a clearer lifestyle case for many foreigners. Foreigners can generally buy property in Uruguay with no need to be residents first. Rural land, small town homes, and modest properties outside Punta del Este and premium coastal zones can still be much more affordable than comparable property in the United States or Western Europe. The passport route is not direct. Uruguay does not sell citizenship. Instead, property ownership can help support residency by showing economic ties, intention to settle, and a real connection to the country. After several years of actual residence and integration, citizenship may become possible. Uruguay is often discussed around a 3 to 5 year citizenship timeline, depending on family situation and circumstances, but it is not just a countdown timer. Authorities look for genuine residence, local ties, and integration into Uruguayan society. That is why property matters. A home, a farm, or a long-term base can help demonstrate that the applicant is not just collecting documents, they are building a life. The Uruguay passport is also more useful than many people realize, with strong travel access compared with most low-cost residency options. The country itself is politically stable, relatively safe, and culturally easier for some Westerners to adapt to than more chaotic emerging markets. The catch is cost and commitment. Uruguay is not as cheap as Paraguay. Montevideo, Punta del Este, and the coastal areas can be expensive. Citizenship is not guaranteed, and the applicant needs to actually spend meaningful time in the country. Uruguay is not the cheapest option. It is the quality route. For someone who wants land, lifestyle, stability, and a realistic long-term path, it may be the most balanced country on this list. For scouting trips, Expedia and Kiwi links are below for comparing accommodation and flight routes before visiting any property market in person. And now, the comparison that makes every route on this list easier to understand. Cheap land buys time, but direct citizenship buys speed. Caribbean citizenship by investment. This is not country number 5, it is the benchmark. Countries like Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Lucia offer direct citizenship by investment programs. These are some of the fastest legal passport routes in the world, with some applications completed in months rather than years. The real estate routes usually require approved development projects starting around the low hundreds of thousands of dollars. Donation routes can also exist, depending on the country and family size. There is usually no long naturalization period, no requirement to live there full-time, and no need to buy cheap rural land with unclear infrastructure. That is why the comparison matters. The Dominican Republic, Paraguay, Egypt, and Uruguay generally trade money for time. The upfront costs can be lower, but the applicant has to build residency, presence, and genuine ties. Turkey and the Caribbean programs trade money for speed. The entry cost is higher, but the road is more direct. Neither is automatically better. It depends on the goal. Someone who wants a second passport quickly for business mobility is making a different decision from someone who wants to build a low-cost life in Paraguay or Uruguay over several years. That is the real framework behind this entire topic. Cheap usually means slower. Fast usually means expensive. And the mistake most people make is chasing the cheapest plot of land instead of the cleanest route. Bad title, no road access, no utilities, no legal support, or no actual residency pathway can turn a bargain into a liability. Every country on this list also runs background checks, source of funds reviews, and due diligence. If someone promises a passport with no checks and no questions, that is not a shortcut. It is a scam. So here's the takeaway. Cheap land can still open a passport route in 2026, but only when the property plays the right role. In the Dominican Republic, Paraguay, and Uruguay, property helps prove routes. In Turkey, property can unlock a direct citizenship route, but only at a much higher price. In Egypt, the entry cost can be low, but the timeline is long. The question is not just which country is cheapest. The question is whether speed, affordability, stability, or lifestyle matters most. Because once that answer is clear, the right route becomes much easier to see. Drop a comment with which country caught your attention most, and whether speed or affordability matters more in a second passport strategy.